Okay. Good
Well,
morning. Terrence
Mike,
was just regaling his race that he just ran. Pretty
Yeah.
well, walk.
it was the mountain run, the rut out in Big Sky, Montana. So, yeah, just talking about the training and um, probably we were just talking. I don't think enjoy is the right word, uh,
Right.
but from a chiropractic, like we talked before, certainly could be or should be a metaphor for people, right? Or the opportunity, kind of that all what we've talked about. So chiropractic, the work that goes into it, why you're doing it, and climbing up a mountain should be something that you would do that's then getting in the office and adjusting whatever amount of people, and being able to recover and do it again.
Right.
Like I think we've discussed, I think anybody could come in anybody's office and see 100 or 200 a day or whatever, but it's really the ability to go back and do it again and again and again and again, and the purpose and passion for that. So uh, I don't know if we had something to talk about at my EPOC meeting last week. One of the chiropractors, Andrew, Mike, Williamson, brought up flow and the state of flow, and he was reading a book about flow. And it was funny that I just read an article last night in Scientific American talking about flow, and I was trying to explain to Andrew that you have to work, you got to work hard at flow. And essentially, this article was saying that the people who had a lot of experience in pattern, they used musicians, and experience, as my word, infrastructure, were better at getting into flow. Neurologically, they had them wired to EEGs and such, than novices were, and still betraying what we've talked about, that hard work, repetition, effort, that constant um, dedication to your craft is what puts you in a position to get into flow. Because when you're, it's kind of like driving a car, right? When you first are doing it, you got to think about all these things, and later you can do it, and right, you can be in a flow state and look up and go, oh, look, I drove 300 miles and I haven't been
Yeah.
in an accident. I did whatever it might be. And he he was talking about his associate, and like that, almost like he couldn't get in a flow state, his associate. And I'm like, well, you also have to push yourself, in my opinion, right? Train harder or give more effort in order to then, I don't know, get into a flow state. And I think all of us know it's not always there, right?
Yeah. Right.
Some days you're having to
There-
work hard at it to achieve, and that's true of running, that's true of music, that's true of chiropractic, that all the, prayer. What a good, prayer. Think of how many times you pray, and it's
Meditation.
you're working hard at it. What
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
praying so hard it hurts when, and then other times you just in a conversation with God, or right, really feeling His presence. I don't, your guys' opinion on flow, or
Well, yeah, I mean, the first analogy jumped in my head is when you said driving is merging into traffic, right? If you're sitting at a standstill, how hard is it to get into traffic that's going 55 miles an hour, right?
right,
But if you have that access lane and you can accelerate, then it's easier just to merge into that flow of traffic, right? So I guess the analogy is that that access lane is everything you do to that point, you know,
right,
your disciplines, your prayers, whatever it is, and that prep work, right? Um, but I think that all starts with the purpose. I mean, because it's tough to do prep every day if you don't love what you're doing, you
correct.
know. But don't you find, I don't know why meditation jumps into my brain. It's that the more I meditate, the better I am to get in that state, right? If you want to call that flow state, whatever you want. But don't you find that it's cyclic? At least for me, it has been through the years. There are times when I'm right there, man. I'm in the flow. I'm ready to go. And there are times when it's tough to do that. But I think the maturation process, the 30 some odd years of doing this, practicing, and even, 30 some years of being married, 30 years of doing anything, if you're paying attention and you're working hard, then you realize when you're getting off flow or off base or non-prepped or non-disciplined, and it's that check and balance, you get back in a lot quicker, right?
Right.
Absolutely. That's
yeah.
why meditation is so good, because it helps you stay in present time consciousness. I mean,
Yeah.
it forces you to concentrate. Now, I go back to when I was teaching baseball players how to hit. There's 3 keys: confidence, concentration, and relaxation. I used to call it the CCR method of hitting. You
Yeah.
got to be confident you're the baddest MFer out there that's going to drive the ball. You've got to be concentrate by focusing on the moment, not worrying about your last at bat or your next at bat, but the pitch that's coming at you right away. And when you're in a non-stress situation, when you're relaxed, then the muscles can work at their fullest capacity. And that's part of the meditation. That's part of the daily rituals that are critical in attaining that flow.
Yeah. I like the relaxation word. People respond to that. Sometimes I use the word surrender, and people always get I guess there's 2 sides to that coin, right? If you're doing the prep work, you're doing the work, and then you surrender to everything that you've done to that point, then shit happens, right? And you
Absolutely.
wonder how it happens, because yeah.
Well, in chiropractic, then, which everybody's afraid to talk about all the time, is you're surrendering. What are you surrendering to? We're surrendering, Palmer used universal intelligence and those
Yeah.
sorts of things. But later he was honest and said God, right?
Yeah.
And reconnecting man the
Yeah.
physical, man the spiritual, and
Mhm.
and it's a shame that we're not talking about that. It's not being talked about. Not just Palmer, not even just from that we're big, whatever DD BJ people, as opposed to that's what healing is about. And no matter how you talk about it, and you guys know I love the science and all these things, but everybody always says, it's like a wound healing. It's like, oh yeah, we can break all these processes and down, and then invariably they would say, and then something magical happens.
Yeah, right.
There's that leap. And same thing
Yeah.
up Hawkins in his physics, one of his books was with the Big Bang, was like all these things, and then something,
Magical.
some force did something, it's like, wait a minute, whoa, let's back that up. And we're just so afraid of saying it, like the classic, you cut a cadaver, nothing happens. But if you
Yeah,
right,
right. Mhm.
all,
I've been using the term because talking to a couple of chiropractors that they have a hard time with the word God, and because they've attached it to
dogma.
organized religion that they
Yeah.
don't agree with anymore, right? So I've been using the word Gus, God, universal, intelligent, and spirit, right? And it's really funny because they seem to be okay with that. It's like, okay, we can play semantics if you want to. But
Oh,
they do
there's
understand.
a safe word now, Mike.
It's a
A
safe
safe.
word. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? People shut down sometimes when you use a word that they have this negative thing associated to it. I guess I used to just bully through that. Now sometimes it's like, okay, we can use Gus. I mean, it's got God in it, but it all represents that magical thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But yeah, in the same breath, like you said, that I'm just thinking the schools that I don't even know. I say about this, I don't even know. I don't want to say what I know what they're teaching, but I don't know that the overall reason, right? Not even purpose, but like I feel like at least we're going to go out and change the world, right? Or we're going to have an influence, at least at the very least, have an influence on our community, which is what we're supposed to do. Like I'll
right.
give Sid Williams more credit in that he was like, if we could have 10,000 offices, each seeing 500 people a week, this would be whatever.
Mhm.
And that's how we make an impact. And now it's just like, oh, go do whatever you want under the auspices of it's, I guess, holistic or
Yeah.
wellness, which, which include wellness includes anything from selling pot to, magnets, whatever. And I'm not, but that's not chiropractic. I
No,
mean,
it's not.
what we can talk about, whatever benefits, and that's, I don't know. That's what I was thinking about. That is flying back was about that we haven't done enough, and I would sort of the thing for us too that we're trying that this guy helped 600 plus kids get out of Czechoslovakia right at the beginning of World War II, and he was plagued 50 years later that he hadn't done enough.
Yeah. Jeez.
Right? He was
Yeah.
just he couldn't clear his head until he donated this book he had. He had kept all these pictures, and then a TV person found it and put them on, and at one point said, all right, everybody in this room who this guy whose lives has he affected, and everybody stood up.
Mhm.
He brought all these kids, he got them all to London, and like several hundred of them were in the room, and then he felt like, whew, maybe I did do
Yeah, we
enough.
did something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and you know what? And how many lives did they save because of that, right? Again, we
correct,
don't know how far reaching.
correct. So I mean, and
Yeah.
What we
those
say, think, or do can affect the lives of millions of
Yeah.
others.
Yeah, I didn't finish the quote, but yeah.
how can we drive that back to some of the schools, I guess, again, the students are lost. I mean, I think they're just lost because nobody's it should be okay for somebody else to say, here's your vision.
Mhm.
Here's your vision. Right? Let me give it to you. Now,
Yeah.
as we know, some may grab it, some may not. I think your uncle's a good example, Mike, that he went to national, and I don't know whatever vision he felt he was taught there, right, at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so he did that.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then
Failed
he
miserably.
had an epiphany,
Mhm.
and he found a different vision. So that's all of us are allowed to do that. So the same
Yeah, we
thing
are.
can
Absolutely.
apply, but
Yep.
I think it should at least start from the premise of a chiropractic vision, which
Mhm.
none of the presidents are providing any longer, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I know Edwin was. I don't know. I assume the new president at Sherman is, but I haven't been there, so I don't know. I do have a student there now, and yeah, it seems like talking to him once a week or so that he still has the same vision he went with. I guess that's a plus. Um, but I'll continue to mentor him at least. But that's only one, right? So,
Right.
and I can tell you from experience that, and Brad can also, getting into these schools and uh, inspiring these kids is not the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of pushback.
Yep.
And not even from the top. You can have a president and a vice president that are all on board, but then you have to deal with the people
Student.
these students see not students, it's in the instructors that these students see every day.
Right.
Every day. That's the tough nut to crack. It really is.
Well, that's
Which
why it's so important what we do. That
Yeah.
that just reinforces the need for what we're doing here to try to get that message out to as many people as possible. However, we can get that message out to.
I
It's
agree.
incumbent upon us.
I agree.
yeah, just kind of reminding these kids that the adjustment, putting their hands on people with positive intent, right, can make it
Mhm.
can and will make a difference. And then I think the biggest thing, they're in a hurry, right? I, maybe that's driven by student debt and all these other things, right? Is that fine line then of, well, I need to make money now, right? Which then I get, but if you can marry
I
that with,
made money right away though, didn't you? Right?
sure, sure,
Yeah. So I get that I need the money now, but Brad did too. We made money
right,
now.
right,
I covered my overhead the first month, not the second one, but then the third. you know?
Right.
Yep.
No, I think that, but somewhere they have to have the confidence that that's going to happen and the skills, right? The skill set. I
Yeah.
think that the schools could do a better,
Again,
should
yeah,
do a better job,
back to the
particularly at
schools.
the end. I know that um, Dean and you guys got into life a little bit.
No,
No,
Sherman,
Herman,
yeah,
that I just feel like if they had that whatever X amount of hours of here's how you do a consult, here's a real life exam, here's an
mhm,
X-ray, and then here's how you do here's a version, here's 3 versions of a report of findings,
yeah,
right? Here's
yeah,
one for 36 visits, here's one for 12. I don't,
yep,
here's a pain practice, here's a
mhm, yeah,
corrective practice, here's a wellness. I mean, you guys choose, but here's the words you should say.
yeah,
And then
yeah, exactly, right. They gave us a day a quarter. I mean, they gave us a full day a quarter. And it was a lot of information. And, it was called G10, which stood for graduation debt free in 10 years. And we got a lot of grief about that because you had a lot of people in the profession, including the teachers, that were like, there's no way you can be debt free in 10 years. And, Dean he had the program written out and it was in black and white, and you absolutely can do it. I mean,
right,
I'd be interested. And then the school decided that they could do the program on their own. Okay. If you're doing it, fine.
right,
Um, I would be interested in seeing, um, I bet it's a handful. It's probably not more than 25 or 30 of those students at the time that actually paid attention and followed. I'd love to find out how many actually, were debt free, and
right,
it wouldn't even be 10 years now, but would we be approaching it? But it'd be interesting
right,
because we did cover everything. I mean, we covered everything from finding a location to negotiating a contract with a landlord, and it was all principle based,
right.
uh, to philosophy to everything. It covered everything. The finances, kind of like, but
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody needs that. They should have that.
yeah. Now I understand he's trying to take it, or maybe he has taken it to life. Um, I'll have to ask him. I haven't asked him, but I
Well,
will.
I get I think the perilous part, and you know Dean better than I, is that so many of the practice consultants want to use it as a in then that they tie these kids to
Yeah, that's not happening.
a contract, which
Yeah,
was particularly um, Ben Lerner, them, and
a
then
lot of them.
the
Yeah,
Reekman, 100% chiropractic, all these groups that these kids were
yeah.
tied to a contract, then a lot of money, right? A lot of
Hmm.
more debt, more debt.
Morgat, yeah. Now
Brad, you got
there was a student TLC thing, but it was it was nominal, if not free, and I think most of these kids got sponsored by TLC docs, so it wasn't like they were even taking money out of their pocket, and there
I
certainly
mean,
wasn't a contract.
that's what I mean, where I think Dean was sincere in his efforts and not
Yeah,
looking. He was, I think like, oh, if people want it, they'll come find me,
yeah,
right? I don't know. Brad, what do you think?
The problem is trying to get through the schools is the schools are required to teach what CCE requires them to teach. So
yeah,
they've pushed against it. I mean, that's why Sid ran into the problems that he did at Life, is because he was basically thumbed his nose at CCE and they came and slapped him down, and that's what caused all that to happen. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. We need another Jim Sigafus. We need another Sid Williams. We need somebody to stand
Hmm.
on the rooftops and lead the profession back to our roots. And hopefully there's somebody out there that's going to do that. And we're doing the best we can under with the tools that we have. But I sit down and think about, is there more that I can do, or is there more that we can do? I don't know.
I guess I'd say the same thing. It's like somehow getting on a campus and,
right,
like you have this one kid and be like, if you get down there and say, can you
yeah,
put 20 people in a room and we'll just, I'm going to spend 2 hours, even if it's an intro, right? Or whatever it might
yeah.
be. That's the
Yeah.
only way. And then you're going back every quarter or whatever, 3 or 4 times a year, even
I'm
if
gonna
it's the
leave.
same 20 kids.
I'm gonna leave this for 2 minutes because I gotta plug my laptop's dying.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And maybe, you know, like they did when we were in school, we had meetings at our condo complex in our activity hall.
Right.
Maybe the student with Mike that Mike has at Sherman or you know, Sam still has connections at Life. If we could maybe get an off campus, it might take a while to build it, but maybe,
Just gotta try. I mean,
yeah,
it's it's just funny. It's a lot of energy, because like you said, you're gonna probably get slapped down. And I always think that you really want to be on campus truly, right? And I think you have to it has to almost be a mixture of science, art, and philosophy. You really have to it's almost like sneaking the philosophy in around the
correct.
science, because then they sort of can hear it. You know, it's like like I said, all the, the pain, the brain stuff. Um, you sneak the brain in, but then it's like, oh, and this is,
Oh, by
and
the way,
all this innate, right?
Yeah, right.
That sort of stuff. That's sort of that's my thoughts on it. Plus the students seem to think the science is right. It's popular. The neurology is popular right now,
Yeah.
right? In that sense, sort of like we're finally getting validation or something. I don't know, right? That things that BJ was talking about 100 years ago, right? A
Yeah.
DD, right? A certain
Edie.
DD, and then BJ taking, all those things about the science is bearing out to be true, um, as well. So
It's amazing some of the stuff that DD was reading,
yeah,
but we never see, what his education was like. It was incredible,
right.
So
Yeah, because it was self-taught. He was just
yeah.
reading and searching on his own,
Yeah.
constantly curious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it still came down to, no matter how he talked about putting his hands on people to help them, right? To again to reconnect them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right? To
So
reconnect them.
it just keeps coming back. Just keeps coming. Same thing. Okay, Gus.
Yeah.
unfortunately, now it's about CPT codes and ICD-10
Mm.
codes and what can I do to upcode to get the most reimbursement from the insurance company rather than changing people's lives.
Right.
You know? And it has to be belief before behavior. You have to change their mind before you can change their spine.
And
Absolutely.
that's true for the doc too.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Well, I did the other one for 30 some odd years now. Now I want to try to figure out how to change the doc's minds, right?
Correct. Correct. That's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Well, I guess show them the pathway, show them there is a way. You know, we talked
Yeah.
about that, whether it's
Yeah.
through Dean's G10 or some other process.
Mhm.
That's what I like about it. We're not trying to receive anything in return for this, other than the fact that the satisfaction of knowing that chiropractic is going to persist in its purest form.
Yeah.
Well,
It's funny
go ahead,
is
Mike.
I've I've been questioned about this group and the book. I've been questioned 3 times whether that's leading to mentoring and coaching. Like, do I have another ulterior motive? And I'm like, no, I have no ulterior motive. I'm just putting, I just want I want to put the information out and hopefully garner some interest so that we can teach and change this thing,
Right.
Old for that crap.
Right.
Done it,
Yeah, been there, done that. Don't need to do it again. The problem,
no.
the thing we got to think about though is because we're giving it away, what value does that have for people to utilize it?
Yeah, I would hope that when you get to, look, I understand, and we've talked about this our whole entire career, that, you have to build value for the adjustment and for what we're doing. Other people don't, they don't get value out of it. They don't respect it. And I get that. I understand that. But I have to think there's a point in growth, with growth with people that um that somebody's got to realize at some point that the information and the effort just has enough value in and of itself, right? Maybe that's pie in the sky. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but yeah, you know,
Well, same thing that if you persist, right, and keep putting it out there with your heart instead of right,
Mhm.
your head,
Yeah, right, right.
it will come.
Here,
The,
here's
the
a
other
great
the other
Here's the
thing
great part is, here's the great part about us is, first of all, we don't need the financial gain. And, that leads to the fact that I don't feel like I'm getting kicked in the teeth, you know, spending hours and hours and getting nothing in return.
right,
Right. It
right.
is, maybe it's a romantic idea on my part. I don't know. I'm certainly the last person to consider myself a martyr, so I'm certainly not doing it in
Right.
that sense. But
The other thing they talked about that came up in the meeting that I was thinking about is that one of the docs in talking about practice and such was and flow as well in describing it himself and his practice and his associate was talking about how comfortable he was. Well, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable. And my premise has always been, well, you got to be uncomfortable, right? In order to grow, uh, it, you need to be uncomfortable. So you need to, you know, stretch yourself in some way.
Mhm.
And I think that's again lost in that in this particular group, I always feel like they just see me as a one one pony guy, meaning oh he's just the high volume, adjust a lot of people,
Yeah.
and yet my curiosity and my part was well no you had to keep growing all the time. So when I did the neurology, it was the intent was to help my patients more and myself, right, make
Yeah.
myself a better doc, exercise,
Yeah.
right, reading philosophy,
Yeah.
being a good husband, parent,
Right.
and apply
Yeah.
the chiropractic principles to marriage and or parenting, meaning
Parent.
be ahead of stuff, right? Prevention or when are you a good parent? All the time, not when just there's a crisis. When are you in
Mhm.
your marriage? All the time, not when
Mhm. Mhm.
all those sorts of things. And and like I said, always looking for chiropractic in everything in those moments helped me. And I was relating it to the concept of praying unceasingly, right? That your life is your prayer, your life is your meditation, your life is chiropractic. That's how and I thought all those things I
Me too.
went together. They all were the same thing.
Me too.
As for me to express myself through chiropractic was what I think that's what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do for God and Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm here. Be a same thing. Do the best. Doesn't mean I succeeded every time for sure, but sure, pick myself up and try again or
Yeah.
keep praying, keep practicing, keep
I
meditating.
failed. Yeah. I failed miserably more than I succeeded, I think. But I just kept, and I still am.
Slipping and
I'm,
checking.
I'm keep at it. Yeah.
Right.
Um, but in that regards, I never looked, I never looked at my life in segments. We'd be in a seminar and people would be talking about balance and they were showing you however many spokes that seminar person had, whether it was social and educational and what,
Right.
family life or whatever. And I get it. And it helped me work on seeing where I was lacking, but I never saw them. I always saw it as a whole, as opposed to most people I would expect. Chiropractic was part and still is part of my life, just like my kids,
Right.
It's
Yep.
your entire, it's been our entire lives, and everything
Yeah.
that we have is that we've gotten in this world is because of chiropractic. That's why chiropractic, if you use that analogy of the spokes, chiropractic's the hub. That's
Yeah.
the hub, and everything else is an offshoot of that. And as Terrence says, you want to see chiropractic in everything in life. And I think that's what people don't realize it, because right now, for many people, chiropractic's a job or a profession
It's a profession.
but not a passion, a purpose, a reason for living.
Right.
And that's
Right.
what we want to try to get to out there to the
Mm-hmm.
masses of doctors and their families, that chiropractic and the chiropractic principles and lifestyle is the hub of your life, and everything else is an expression
Yeah.
of that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
This is a little bit of an ego, but going back to something you said, Terrence, when you're with some of these guys and, sometimes you think that they think you're a one-trick pony. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I felt that on occasion, but at the same time, I look at every individual and I was like, I can do everything that you're doing, but you can't do what I'm doing. You can, but you're not,
Right.
So,
Well, they're not even trying. They're not.
no. Well,
because they're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Uncomfortable is the new comfortable, right? But I never even, I hear that all the time. Uncomfortable is the new comfortable. And I guess in my entire life, I never really felt comfortable. So
Correct. Thank you.
yeah, I never felt comfortable. I mean, my mother used to say to me all the time, Michael, you don't know how to do anything unless it's the hard way. And she was absolutely right. I couldn't walk down the sidewalk to get out of the yard. I had to walk the top of the fence.
Sure.
Just stuff like that. Unless it was challenging or it made me learn something, I probably was going to go look and do something else. It was my nature. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness for me.
No, well, it's funny that
being comfortable is uncomfortable to me, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that if you don't keep it novel, so they were talking about Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, I believe. It might have been Parkinson's, but when they did a tandem bike, like with the caregiver, I'll use that, it couldn't be comfortable. It had to be at a higher pace, wattage or whatever, had to cross that threshold, and always needed to be novel. And when they did that, they had a ridiculous improvement level in 30, 60, 90 days because they kept pushing it. So they saw these incredible effects on Parkinson's and Alzheimer's because it was novel. So the same thing with walking for your health. You see people who walk really leisurely, I'll use that term, and they think it's good for them. It's like, no. The minimum was 3.1 miles per hour, first of all, to have a benefit. And then second, once you get comfortable with that, you better start to add some hills or try to go faster or these things. Otherwise, it has no good effect on the brain. You get used to that. And right. And that's the peril of being comfortable. It's not novel. And it's our society is working to be comfortable, right? Everyone wants to be.
You kind of broached another subject there, Terrence. You broached the subject of having a mentor or a coach or somebody that comes alongside of you and makes you work a little bit harder.
Yeah,
I guess first it's got to be your choice to go find somebody that's going to kick you in the ass, but ass kickery nonetheless is needed, right?
But that's what we talked about with going to Parker or DE or being in a group, right? Of Schofield or Dean or I don't care who.
Yeah.
Most of the magic should occur out in the hallway. Like,
boy, isn't that true?
Right? It
wasn't.
Bar. Yeah.
Well, the bar afterwards.
And usually you might hear somebody did something or did something well. Right? I get it. But at least they'd be like, maybe I'll try it. You'd get those ideas. And granted, Mike, and you're a speaker, you'd get ideas from the speaker, but so often it would
Yeah,
the
right.
magic would come in the camaraderie, the flight there. As I
Yeah.
said, and you were there,
Yeah,
Mike,
right.
giving haircuts at
Yeah,
a
shaving
seminar,
necks.
shaving necks, that sort of stuff. You could get more out of that, and because then you're in the game with somebody else, right? And
Yeah,
it's going to be okay.
it becomes more real, right?
Yes,
It
yes.
does.
And it doesn't, and that takes time. It takes time to build those
Mhm.
friendships or camaraderie or whatever it might be, and it it that's what, again, I know we all wanted it fast, don't get me
Mm.
wrong, but I never thought I would get it fast and that I wouldn't have to do it for 30 or 40 years. So
Never
41
thought
years,
that.
41 plus years now, that it wouldn't have to keep going, right? That'd be
Mhm.
like, oh, I get this in 5 or 10 years, even debt free, and then I'm done. No, no, no. Now I'm just getting started,
Yeah.
right? That sort of stuff. So,
So, yeah, that's yeah. Think, hey, Brad, it's September, right? This is when we graduated, like right now.
You did. I graduated in June.
Oh, that's right. You were in June. Yeah.
I was able to accelerate because of
Yeah.
classes I took in undergrad that got credit.
But
But yeah, it's
38 years,
38
right?
years ago.
38 years.
86, was it 86?
Mhm. 38 years.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, my passion for the principal probably is as strong as it ever is. It's different,
Probably
Um,
even stronger.
yeah, it might be stronger. What's the word I want to? It's distilled, that's for sure. You know, so
And aged in oaken barrels.
yeah, yeah.
Better
I,
over time.
look, if I had to, and I'll just put this out verbally, if I had to create a visualization of what happens from just these little conversations, is that somebody like Jim DeBell or even Dean or somebody sees this and says, "Hey, you guys want to come out, or one of you guys want to come out, or all you guys, or whatever." I would hope that let's put that out there. I'll invite any of these guys that if they see this to say, come on out next seminar or pick one.
Right.
And
Right?
vice versa. Come on here too.
Come on here. Right.
Yeah.
Give us 35 minutes, give us an hour, give us
Right.
whatever. I don't care what it is, even if it's not a talk and it's just a stick a microphone on the stage and let somebody ask us questions. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
But I invite whatever. It could be another podcaster, right?
Right.
Then
Definitely.
invite us out. I'll put it out there. Won't cost you anything. We'll
No,
come do it.
definitely will not.
Won't cost you anything.
Circling back to the conversation that we were having about comfortability.
Comfortability.
You
Yeah.
have to, this is a Will Tickle thing. You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That
Right.
has
Yeah.
to be what drives you. You have
Yeah.
to be comfortable with that thought that I'm going to be
Yeah.
uncomfortable and I have to keep working and moving. And that's in anything. He used to say there's you're either growing or you're shrinking. There is no maintenance.
There. Yeah. You're either moving forwards or backwards, right? There's no standing still.
Yeah, that's Bruce Lipton, right?
Right.
There's another cliche that comes to mind, and it's one that Lisa never really cared for, but came to love. It's I'm always grateful but never satisfied.
Right.
I'm grateful for everything that I get, everything that I do, and everything that I've learned, but there's got to be something else, right? I know there's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be like we're talking about. That could be being able to share it. It could be
Yeah.
growing more of it. It could
Yeah.
be all sorts of things. More gratitude. Yeah, more love.
Hope it
more
is sharing it.
service. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's the
So
whole
how's the-
thing is that level of service.
right.
That's why we go back to the original life motto: serve for the sake of serving,
Yeah.
give for the sake of giving, love for the sake of loving out of our abundance. Or some paraphrasing it. It's been a while since I've.
And you know what? I don't care who you are as a chiropractor, what you do. I don't care how old you've been in this thing, whether you're new or you've been doing it as long as we have. If there's a give and take, you're gonna get something and we're gonna get something and we all learn and move forward from that, right?
Correct.
Correct.
So,
How's the
Yeah.
book coming, Mike? Or you getting to the?
yeah, the book is, the last edit is finished. I'm waiting for the cover art to be done. That's really it. Just waiting for the cover art. Which should be here before second week in October. And then it's just a matter of the publisher being done with it at that point.
That's
They're telling
amazing.
me it doesn't, take more than like a week once they have everything. At least, so we'll see. So I'm thinking a month on the outside too.
Very good.
So, yeah.
Certainly by the time you get back from your trip.
Yeah, by the time I get back, it should be in the publisher's hands, and then it's just up to them, right?
Good. Where are you headed?
I am headed to Europe.
Nice.
October 10th we leave, we'll be back November 11th. And we're all over. It's a cruise, so it leaves Rome and Naples and Sicily and Palermo, and then a bunch of Greek islands, Turkey, and then back up to Spain, and then we leave Spain and we do the Azores, Bahamas, and finish in Fort Lauderdale.
Very nice.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And then Brad leaves in the middle of that for a month, right?
Right. I'm going to Australia and
Nice.
New Zealand. That's definitely a bucket list
There you go.
Cool.
activity. Speaking
And,
of that, if we're going to talk about next time, maybe we should speak on the 8th of October, which is like 3 weeks away rather than 4.
okay.
Sounds good.
That way you can, I just looked at the calendar, that way you can get on before you go.
Yeah, okay.
And if we do this at, in November, when I'm in Australia, I can do it at 11, it would be at 11 o'clock at night for
Perfect.
9 o'clock in the morning here. So I can still do it.
Okay.
So
Have a couple of New Zealand cocktails and join
there
us
you
at
go. Exactly.
11.
Exactly.
I'm not opposed to a Bloody Mary at 9 o'clock in celebration of your trip.
Nice. I can
As
join
Kenny
that.
Stable used to say, there's nothing wrong with reading a game plan by the light of a jukebox.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Terrence, did you were in Florida for a bunch, weren't you?
We've been back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're-
You
we're
bought your
gonna-
place?
Yep. We're gonna
Yeah.
go back. I think we're gonna go back in October around the 10th.
Oh, cool.
Not sure how long we're gonna stay this time. At least a week. Trying to get more of the furniture, all that stuff done, so it's not a working trip every time. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
right,
time should be more fun. I think we've got at
Good.
least enough stuff to just go and enjoy it. So yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
So,
All right, so here's a message for all the young chiropractors that get to hear and see what we just talked about. New Zealand, Europe, and a house in Florida. See, if you work hard enough, you can do these fun things, right?
there you go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. We don't lose sight of our purpose and what we do, but we certainly do have fun doing it, don't we?
It should be fun.
I say all the time, the good Lord put me on this earth for 2 reasons. 1, to be service to humanity, and 2, to have a damn blast doing it.
Yep. I
Right?
agree. Yep.
Absolutely.
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 I'm
Cool.
with you. I'm with you. All right, guys.
Talk to you on the 8th.
On
Good
the
stuff.
8th.
Yeah. Talk to you on the
I'll-
8th.
Yeah. Terrence, I'll talk to you before because I want to hear about this house and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it
All
sounds
right.
exciting. Talk to you
Okay.
All
later.
right.
Thanks,
I love you
guys.
guys. See ya.
Love you too.
Bye.